All right, so we're going to create some more text styles. Again, we click new, and this time we have T50. That's the style name. So we click that. It's now over in this list. Then it's Tahoma, not regular this time, but bold. And this time around is 300 millimeters. That's full scale. So of course we know that it will be 6 millimeter on paper, because by the time you print it 50 times smaller, 15 to 300 equal 6. So apply. Then we have one last one that we're going to be creating. This time we're looking at how you create a text style that is annotative. So these that we have created so far are all non-annotative textiles. So those textiles that are non-annotative, what you must do when you create them is to do the multiplication to get them to full scale. Hence, we have to multiply all of them by 50, because the intended plot scale is by 50. And the same thing applies for all scales. However, when you are creating annotative textile, you only create it the size you want it on paper, and it will be able to work for all scales. So you don't have to call it RT50. You just call RT. So that's why I'm going to create another one. So it means that RT50 and RT can be used to do the same job. But because it's annotative, we don't need to put a 50 beside it, because it can work for any scale. So again, we're going to click new. But this time around, it's RT only. Just RT. Then we click OK. And it's going to be Arial. So let me click my down arrow, AR, quick click, and then choose Arial. It is also regular. However, I'm going to introduce this feature now, which is called annotative. If you notice, beside the textile that was called annotative, there's a little symbol. As soon as you check this box that has annotative beside it, you're going to notice that that very symbol appears beside RT. And if I take it off, you notice the symbol disappear. Now I need to pay attention to something else before I click it again. Notice over here where the 300 is. It is saying that the height is 300. But when I click on annotative, it's no longer just saying height. It is saying paper text height. So that's giving you a clue that you really should not make it full scale. Make it the height it will be on paper. Hence the reason it is 4. So it is RT being annotative, so the symbol beside it, and it's because this box is checked why that symbol appears there, and the height on paper is what you should put once you're making it annotative. Now, later on, I'll be clicking on this symbol down here, which is called annotation scale, and you'll understand how it works. But before I even come out of the dialog, just to let you know that because the symbol shows up here, telling that it is annotative, then this feature takes over. If you notice, the same symbol is beside it, and this symbol represents the end view of a scale rule. I don't know if you know those triangular shaped scale rule. Some people usually say it look like a Mitsubishi symbol or a ninja star and all them things. But it is really the end view of the scale ruler. So anytime you make an object annotative, whether text or a block or whatever it is, because many things can be annotative, you will see that little feature showing up beside it. So once it is annotative, then it is now controlled by your annotation scale. Now, annotation scale was introduced in the 2006 version of AutoCAD. Prior to that, there was no annotation scale option. So the only textiles or whatever else we're creating, we had to make them full scale. There was no option to do it otherwise. So we could only create it non-annotative textiles in 2006. and 5, 4 going below. 2006 was when the annotative scale came in. The annotation scale came in with the dynamic block. Sorry, not 2006, it's 2008. The dynamic block started in 2006. Annotation scale was 2008, right? So 2007 going below, there was no annotation scale. There was dynamic block, but no annotation scale. 2006 is the dynamic block. So let me just make that correction. All right, so right now, because the last textile that was created was called RT, it is automatically set current. But I don't necessarily want to start with RT, so I'm going to look at how you now set another one current. I want RT50. So, oh, I didn't save the changes. I didn't press apply before, and that is why it's giving me that. So I'm just going to say yes. So it will basically do the apply for me. All right. So this one is 4, and this one is 200. All right. So I want to work with RT50 now. So to set it current, you have a couple of options that you can do. You can right click on it and just choose set current. That's one. The other thing you can do is to double click on it. Click, click. Notice up here is now saying RT50. Or you could come over here and choose set current. There's also the option usually to do your, I think Alt C will also work as well. Okay, so we're going to set RT50 current, and I'll still show you if you forget to do it here, where you could still do it. So let's close the dialog box. All right, so to use your Textstyle, I'm going to zoom in right here on your drawing. Then you would need to go to where the Textstyles are that were just created. So if I go to the Annotate tab, notice, because we are doing annotation now, there is the Annotate tab. And under Annotate tab, you have the Text panel, Dimension panel, Center line, Leaders, and if I didn't turn off another one, you will be seeing Tables. So all of these things have to do with annotating your drawing. These are non-graphical things. That means you would have completed the drawing, and you now need to add the specifications that could include text, dimension, tables, arrows, and those things. So it's time to annotate your drawing. So there's a tab up here called Annotate. And then you have all the related annotated activities showing up down here, right? That's how it works. All right, so the text style that we just created can be found on the text panel. So if you look up here, there's a down arrow beside RT50. And this is where all the text styles are that were just created. So annotative, this one, that one, that one. You notice that this one is in blue, RT50. And that is because we had just set it current. So if I want to set another one current, I could just click on it right here. And if you look, T50 is set current. And if you look, T50 is the one that is highlighted blue. So we could wait until we get here, we set it current. So I'm going to just choose RT50 again, which is what I intended to start using in the drawing. All right, so let me just make this distinction from now. I am not coming down here so to do anything just yet. You notice when you click on it, you see all kind of scales. But remember, the text style that we're about to use is not annotative, so there is no need for me to come down here. Just making that distinction because a lot of students like to ask if they need to set the 1 in 50 scale current before they start the drawing. This does not tell you that you're drawing to a scale of 1 in 50 either, because all this time it has been saying 1 to 1, which means that we're not drawing to no scale of 1 in 50. We're drawing full scale, right? And I'll tell you more about it when it's time. But for now, let's use RT50. So I don't know if you have ever used a feature in Microsoft Word called text box. Everybody normally do those things. But doing that in Microsoft Word is similar to what we can do here in AutoCAD. You notice here we have the text panel with the multi-line text option. When you click on the down arrow, you notice there are two options. There's single line text, which is the fastest or the faster way of doing it. The disadvantage with single line text though is if you even type them in 3 separate lines, when it's time to edit them, you have to edit each line individually because they are still registered as individual or single line. So I don't bother with that because there are times when I want to just block the entire text box and just make a change rather than select line by line. So for my preference is to just go for a multi-line text, which is basically making a little rectangle, a little window to receive the text. So I'm going to click on multi-line text. Now notice before I start using it, it says 2.5 and that is the default. Remember I told you that when you give something a height of 0, it makes it 2.5. Well, it doesn't mean that RT50 is 2.5. What is happening is that as soon as I start typing inside of that line, it will show up to 200. So RT50 is still 200. Don't worry that it's saying 2.5. It's because you haven't started using it yet. So I'm going to click on multi-line text. And then now, I'm going to make a little text box. So I'm starting at the top left-hand corner of that text box. So I'm clicking, and then I pull to the right and pull down. That's enough space to put the word kitchen. So I'm going to click. Now, as soon as I type the word kitchen with my caps lock still on, KITCHEN, right? So it's kitchen. If you look up here, you will notice that it's no longer 2.5 but 200. So basically, it is now displaying the properties of the Textstyle. When you finish typing, you can click outside of the text box and it goes back to the normal screen. Now, if you need to make changes, let's say there was an error you need to edit, you can just hover over it and double click on the text. Click, click, and it will bring up back that same contextual tab. So let me tell you about it now. When we are in the text mode, it is going to bring up a new tab on the ribbon that wasn't there before called Text Editor. You click outside of it, notice Text Editor disappear. So you'll only get those tab in the context of their use. So they are called contextual tab. So it's now available because I'm in the text mode. So on the text editor, you'll notice you get the option to change your style, text style, but I'm going to keep the RT50. The other thing I can do, I can change the alignment of my text. I can go left, I can click here, go center, I can click there, go right, and this one, justified, meaning that if I had enough paragraph information, it would straighten the two sides, but I just have one word, so you won't see the effect of that. And this one, distribute, is where it will just spread it out to fit. Doesn't matter how wide the thing is, it will just space it out. All right. Well, I don't want to use justify or whatever. I'm going to be keeping the option that says left for now. All right. And then you click outside. So to edit, again, we double click and then you could just type whatever else you want. Now you can also do a few more things, such as you can resize the text box to give more room. So if you wanted to type more things going across, and if you wanted to go down, you could give more room. So if you press enter now, it takes you to line 2, line 3, line 4. This is the difference between the multi-line text and the other one, because the other one, even if you press enter and go to line 2, and it appears if it's in the same text box. When you click on it later on to edit it, it will be a separate text box because it's single line text. In this case, it's multi-line text. So if I press enter and type something here, they are still within the same text box. All right. Let me backspace to get that out. And I don't need to make such wide text box. I'm going to bring it back in. And when you finish, you click in empty space. Now, if you do a single click, then this time around you get 3 grips. So double click is to edit the text. Single click is to select. And if you click on the top one here at the left, you notice that one is a move grip. So it allows you to move an object without using the move command. It's built into it. The one to the right allows for you to resize like we were doing, or come down in more line height. All right, but I don't need to bring it so far down, so let me bring it back up to resize it for just one row of text and carry it in just for that. All right, now you have two options. You can copy and paste that text in every area, double click and edit, or you can go back again and type, and your shortcut for multi-line text is MT, MText. So if you wish, you could make a text box every time. So I'll do that one more time. And then I would type bathroom. On capital. Bath. No, capital right through. Bathroom. When you finish, you click outside. Or you can copy, CO, enter, hold it somewhere on the text, paste it, paste it, paste it, and paste it. These are the different areas in the drawing. And then now, you would just double click. So you just click, click, and it's now in the text editor mode. And you can double click again, click, click to select all and just type over it. So this is bedroom. Click outside in empty space. All right, so this one now would be CL for closet. You can resize this one down. You can double click on this one and then double click again. You can zoom in on it as well so you can see it better. You can either block it like Microsoft Word where you drag, click and drag, or it is quicker to just click, click, and it just highlight the entire word. So this one is passage, P-A-S-S-A-G-E. Click outside. Now this one down here, it needs more room because I'm going to work with 3 rows of text. So I'm going to bring this down first. If you don't, then it's going to just wrap it how you don't want it. So double click to edit and double click again to select. This is living. But notice I'm going to press enter and put the and symbol. Enter again, put dining, D-I-N-I-N-G. Then I want it to be centered, so of course I'm going to select by blocking all 3 lines. So you have to click outside here. If you double click, it's only going to double click the last row. So if you click and drag to select, and then you come up here and choose center under your paragraph panel. All right. So the text is now centered. So we have the room text, kitchen, living and dining, passage, bathroom, bedroom. All right. Everybody okay so far? Yes or no? Let me know if you're okay so far.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, good. Still saying that my internet connection is unstable. I don't know. All right. Now I'm going to show you now that. All right, great. We're going to look at how we use a text style that is annotative rather. These are not annotative. So if I were to set my text style called RT current this time, that has the symbol, right? In order for me to use an annotative text style, I need to come down to my annotation scale and set it to the intended plot scale. So at this time, I would need to choose 1 in 50. Let me tell you what this 1 in 50 is going to do. Remember, we created the textile and we made it a height of 4. That 4 is going to multiply by this 50. So if you notice when we were creating the other textile that were not annotative, we had to do the multiplication ourselves, do the calculation, and make it 200. But this time around, once we choose 1 in 50, the textile was 4, it is going to be taken over with this. So this is going to do the multiplication. So it is going to automatically come out at 200. And it's going to be the same height as this because this is 200. So I'm going to retype the word kitchen underneath it and you see. So if I come here and choose multi-line text and make a text underneath it to type the word kitchen. So KITCHEN. Let me click outside. You notice there is no difference in looks. Same thing, but they behave different. Look at this. When I hover over this, nothing shows up. But when I hover over this, you notice you're seeing that little symbol that looks like the end view of the scale rule. Let's see the power of this now. If I come down here and choose 1 in 20 and come up here to make a multi-line text, you're going to see that the text now is smaller. Why? This one was only made 20 times bigger. Why? Because it will print 20 times smaller. So if I come down here and choose 1 in 100, and come again and make multi-line text, come down here, you will notice now that the textile is 100 times bigger. So it's the feature that is called annotation scale that is doing the calculation, because the textile was made 4 millimeter. And that's how all objects that are annotative operate. Once you make it annotative, this feature down here called annotation scale takes over. It does the calculation in the background. Right? So you have to remember that once you're making something annotative, the size that it should be would be the size that it would be later on when you print. So this one was made 100 times bigger because it would print 100 times smaller. So it still go back down to 4. This one was 20 times larger. It's going to go back down to the same 4 millimeter. This one was made 50 times greater. So it will still go back down to 4 millimeter. So this is basically 300 right now. Sorry, 200. 4 times 50. This one is 80, which is 4 times 20. This one is 4 times 100. It's 100 times bigger. Now, what would have happened if I left it on 1 in 1? If I choose 1 in 1 and come here and I'm using an annotated textile, and when I click multi-line text, the program right away start to wonder if I'm crazy, because this comes up saying that you really want to insert I'm kind of paraphrasing what might have been up here, but this is basically telling the choose a plot scale, because it must be saying in the background, you really want to insert an annotative textile at 1 in 1. It must be saying, but you must be crazy. So anyway, let's say you decide to just ignore and just click OK. And then you start to wonder, how comes you're not seeing anything? Well, it is there, but you have to zoom and zoom and zoom and zoom and zoom. So when you click and make that window and type KIT, well, it's LIT here, but I'll just change it. All right, I get my first 10 minutes countdown. Notice KIT, it's there. But when you zoom out, you see how small it is compared to what it is. So that is why the thing came up, because it knows that if you insert the thing at 1 to 1, then there's no way you're going to see it. And worse, later on, when you print the drawing 50 times smaller, is that time it will disappear because it was too small in the first place. So when you are using annotative objects, the first thing you need to do is to set your annotation scale that you want it to print at. So this is not scaling things down. This is actually scaling things up. So you know that this was 200. If I do a rough check, when I type DI and pick somewhere close to down here and somewhere come up to the top, notice it's hinging closer to the 200. Likewise, if I come down here and pick almost the same 200, you're gonna see. So likewise, if I come down here and check this out, it's supposed to be close to 80, if not 80, if I can click exactly here. So this one's supposed to go up to about 80, about when you, if you get to the right part. I just estimate a start point. And this one supposed to be about 100 times bigger. So it would be 100 times 4. So this is going to be close to 400. So what's going on? Right? And this one down here, so it is only going to be 4. So if I click and pull up, it is only going to be about 4 because you only scale it 1 to 1. So basically, this is not drawing to a scale of 1 in 1 or drawing to a scale of 1 in 50 or 1 in 100 or whatever the scale. What that is doing is multiplying objects that are annotated that many times greater or bigger to get them to full scale. Because remember, the aim is once you're drawing in this environment, everything should be done full scale because everything will print back to the scale, the intended scale. So at this stage, I really need to get rid of all of these because you don't need more than one. So for the when you're doing your drawing with the assignment that you're going to get next or your final project, then you could use either RT50 or RT. The only difference is if you're going to use RT, you better remember to choose 1 in 50 first so that it can do the multiplication for you and get it 50 times bigger, right? But you're free to just use RT50. All right, so let me erase those and leave that. So all of my room text are in place. What I need to put in next now is my title. So let me jump back over to my screen where I'll be able to share information relating to that. All right, so this was just giving you the steps to do the same thing. We went to the annotate tab, the text panel, and we choose RT50, then multi-line text. Your shortcut would have been S, would have been empty. And no, we are going to start with the non-annotated text style. That's what that's saying. Then now, what we did, we clicked on make a rectangle and we type the word kitchen. Then now we're going to be looking at how you use the tool palette to put in your title. So our title is going to be a circle with a line, and above it, it says floor plan, and below it, the line, it says scale 1 in 50. And I want the two of them to line up, right align, right? So we don't have, I have no intention to go and draw a circle, draw a line, and make text box above the line, below the line. And then when it's time to move it, I have to remember to select that, select that, select that, so that nothing gets left behind. So we're going back to the tool palette because the tool palette has a tab called Annotate, and you will find an option underneath it on the metric samples called Drawing Title Metric. Now these are dynamic blocks, and dynamic blocks, some of them, not all of them, are controlled by annotation scale. So the first thing we're going to do, right? Oh, we're not ready for the dimension yet. The first thing, because we don't finish putting this yet. The first thing we're going to do is to, let me jump back to my drawing, is to set our annotation scale to 1 in 50. So that's the first thing I need everybody to do if they are working along with me, is to set it to a scale of 1 in 50. So we are now saying that we want this little title, when it comes out, it should be 50 times bigger because this is going to be controlling it. And you can tell if something is annotated because when you hover over it, you see the symbol. And if I hover over it, I don't get no symbol because none of these are annotated textile. All right. So to put in your title now, we're going to tool palette. So that's TP tool palette, enter. And when the tool palette comes out, we are going to look for the annotation tab on the side. Then you see things that are related to annotation. So we're going to scroll down to where we get metric samples. And under metric samples, we're looking for drawing title metric. So when we click, you will notice it comes out on your cursor, large enough that you can see. I'm going to drop it somewhere off here below the drawing. You can always move. And if you hover over it, you will notice you get that little symbol that somebody would call look like Mitsubishi symbol. But we know it is the end view of the scale rule. If I click on it, I get this grip. So I know that it is a block because blocks has all blocks or double blocks have one base point. But this is a special kind of block. This is a block that we call block attribute. It has attributes about it. So for example, we don't want the title to be called view title or the scale to be 1-to-1. So let me move it out of the way because I'm going to launch a dialog box now that basically interact with this type of block. So if I double click rather on the title that is there called view title, shortly after it is going to launch the enhance attribute editor dialog box. But because I double click on view title, it took me right to view title. If I double click on scale 1-in-1, it would take me to scale 1-in-1. If I double click on the number 1 in the circle, it will take me to this tag called number sign, and the value defaults to 1. Okay? So what we want to do now is to rename what we need to rename. So I'm going to choose view name to start with. But I don't want the title to be called view title. It is the view name this time is floor plan. So I'm going to type FLOORPLAN. And you will notice as you type, the information is embedded on the little symbol, the little template. I call it a little template. When you bring it out, it's a little template, and we are now updating the template. So floor plan replace view name. But we're not done with it yet, because when we created our textile, we had created a textile and call it T50, which is for my title. So all I need to do now is to apply that textile to this by going to text option on the dialog box. And then I need for you to observe this, because in 2020, there's a problem. When you choose your text style from the list, trying to remember 2019 of the problem, I still pretend as if the problem exists. It is going to move the justification. So if the text style that we want is T50, but the justification is bottom left. So when I choose T50 for 2020, it didn't happen for 2019, you're going to notice the text move out of place and drop down in there. So you're going to go back and choose bottom left, which is what the justification was. And it will basically come right back in place. I need to check to see if 2021 have that problem still. So you choose bottom left and it just bring it back in place, right? Then you go back to attribute, and then we go to VP scale, and we're updating the value. Instead of 1-to-1, it should be 1-to-50 or 1-in-50.